I'm Martin Vigoda and I currently live in Bristol. I was actually born in London. I was born during the war and because of the bombing in central London, had to be delivered in what was, I think, a nursing home for elderly people around the corner from where my parents lived.
I was born and bred in Singapore, yes. So I came to England when I got married. My husband came down and it's an arranged marriage. And I arrived in England in March 1977, yeah.
Abdul Wahab, MB.
My name's Madge Judith Dresser, and I'm nearly 70, and I was born in Los Angeles, but I came to England when I was 20, and came to Bristol in 1972, and have never left.
Hello, I'm Amir Chima.
Well, I came to Bristol, I think it was 1969.
I'm Kalsoom Bashir. I'm almost 55 years old. I've lived in Bristol for 30 years, so Bristol's very much my home now.
Simi Chowdhury.
My name is Claire Sandler, and that's who I am.
Muhammad Al-Sharif.
My name is Alex Schlesinger, and I am the president of Bristol Hebrew Congregation.
I born Somaliland, outskirts of the city Hargeisa. I'm Somalilander and also call myself a British.
I'm a very free-spirited person. I'm an activist, and I didn't want to be, feel like, be restrained,
I picked up very early on the notion that there are people in life who aren't as advantaged as others.
And whatever our religion, whatever our opinion is later. But first and foremost, we are all human beings.
Prejudice is based on ignorance, and in order to challenge that ignorance, you have to educate.
And also growing up with Holocaust survivors, you just sort of knew that bad things could happen to people because of their ethnic or racial origin.
You know, when you were a refugee, when you will know, are you going to be alive or not? What you need to know, what you need as a young age is somebody to say, it's okay, you'll be fine.
People who've been through that period, particularly people who've been in the camps. I mean, my uncle was in Auschwitz and then Dachau, and other people I've met in Leicester who'd been through the various camps. They were talking little tiny bits about it, but they would never sit down and tell you the whole story, from beginning to end. I suspect not only was it painful, but I think there was probably a sense of humiliation as well.
But the reality is we had a difficult time in our countries, and we've been welcomed, we've been adopted, we've been given opportunity in the UK. We should be proud, we should be, I think, more keen to protect the country than anybody else.
For us to remember that anti-Semitism is still a very important, significant issue.
We cannot go back to our countries anymore. We got to live in this country. So if we live here for a generation, we need something for ourselves.
To empower the women, families and children in Bristol, Asian, because they just didn't fit in. Also to make the English people aware of how to treat them, what are their needs.
It's just fantastic when you hear the progress of these students, and we've actually helped them along and pushed them actually to do something for themselves and go on to
beyond their imagination, that they could come out, Asian ladies can come out, learn and then get employment. So that's a huge thing for us.
And it gives young people confidence and life skills while they're having fun and adventure and making lots of friends and enjoying themselves as well. So so that's sort of, as part of BMCS, Bristol Muslim Culture Society, we sort of realised we needed something else, and that's where we learnt about scouting.
And that led me into community work, really, because I actually realised that a lot of women were actually being oppressed in the name of Islam.
And I did some of the first Black Studies courses, including one taught by Angela Davis. And it was the time of the mid-60s when segregation, which was very much de facto segregation in terms of residence, and you didn't see black people serving behind counters and things like that. And that was beginning to crack.
We are a community voluntary organization, so we are non-profit making.
I got interested in politics, political philosophy, single subject philosophy, and that's what I got into university to study. I think there was an intake of 10 at Leicester University that year.
Within the community, the need was really at home.
And we did. We set up this amazing internet radio station, Salam Shalom Radio.
So how can I empower women, especially Somali women, to go out there and they can learn English, and at the same time they got a skill they can offer to the wider community.
I had trouble in the Sudan practicing, journalism, as you know, in the country. And while we just have this interview, there are some protests in the country. So tens of journalists were or are detained now as we speak.
And I said, I really don't care. I'd rather die serving the community. Till this day, I believe in that.
And the fact that, the more you hide these issues, you brush them under the carpet or the prayer mat, they would get worse.
But I love to do interfaith work. I love to be, I think it's really, really important. We were talking earlier, even if I'm not doing something wonderful, I'm there and I'm a presence.
So that community spirit of working closely together across all faiths in Scouting exists, and that's fantastic. And it's about doing things together and working closely together.
My mission, because I always felt I had a mission about civil rights. I really did feel that.
When people come together as people, trust me, all these differences disappear. I mean, you call it, and I think it's just about getting people to connect as people.
So I'll be very, very sad if the voluntary sector was coming to an end, or if City Council didn't realise that these voluntary sector organisations are very important to enhance their work.
And everybody's trying to see what else, just, if we can help them. They sometimes think, why have you rang us? Surely, we can't be meeting everybody's needs, but it feels like that sometimes.
We also now support, through our home care service, Somali, as well as Egyptian, Iraqi, and, so we don't turn people away,
The Orthodox community was about 120 families, something like that, 150 families maybe. I went to a private school in Bristol. For most of the time, I was the only Jewish boy there.
Nobody has a monopoly on God. It would be very, very arrogant for me to say that as a Muslim, God is for me alone.
And make sure all the young people have a fantastic time. And as long as they're growing and developing, that's the sort of what I would like to see, that we have a great community that's working closely together and supporting each other. Yeah.
There's a great sort of feminist urge, if you like, in this community. There's also a very strong ecologically aware urge in this community.
That Notre Dame Mosque, it was a church and it was for sale, and we managed to buy it.
So one of the earliest things I did was to document the story of the racial discrimination on the buses against West Indians.
There was pin drop silence after her story, and I thought, I've had it. But 2 minutes later, there was a standing applause.
It's wonderful to see when somebody takes up our services and we've made a real impact on their life.
I remember a child coming to the play scheme, and the first day, Mum and Dad were holding him. Oh, he can't walk. And they wouldn't leave him. I think he was 6 at the time, and oh no, he might fall over. He's never done this before. He does. Oh gosh, he can't climb this, and he can't do this. And I think within a few weeks, they couldn't believe that was the same boy.
I said, can you please tell me what is it that we do for you? And they all said that you looked after us. So Dekbal is the translation is looking after.
To really defeat the negative coverage of the Muslim communities, to show the true Muslim peaceful religion, and how as Muslims we are part of these cities, we are not outsiders.
All programs were researched and developed by Muslims and Jews working together, collaborating on the research and the presentation of programs.
And at the end of the day, religion has got to be relevant and contextualised to the society in which we live. Otherwise it becomes irrelevant. We've got to be able to apply it.
To me, it's about kindness and compassion and being good to people.
Jane Austen, she recommended my name to the Queen.
I mean, we have some very fine Torah scrolls, silver ornaments, which these days sadly are packed away because they are so valuable, but they're almost certainly bought by the Jacobs family.
The thing I achieve is when I put somebody in ease who's got, struggling, and I say, it's okay, it's not that bad, we can do this. And I know for sure I can help. I think that's my biggest achievement.
I was increasingly of the opinion that we really needed to reach out more from the synagogue to other groups, and particularly to the Muslim groups. And that's why I joined Salam Shalom.
So yes, no, the sort of seeds are growing slowly. There's still a lot of work to be done, and I'd hope that yes, we would be working very closely together as a great positive community. Yeah.
And then when it came to leaving, when I had to leave, and I thought, leaving and going to London, I just fell in love with Bristol all over again.
If you have a passion, and if you have a vision and you want to achieve, I'm sure you will get the energy to do it.
And I hope to the very end, diversity will be our biggest success.
This series of interviews, of which I'm one, because I've held at the back of my mind for a long time that there are people in the Muslim community and in the Jewish community who've done masses for their own community, and it hasn't necessarily been recognised by their own community or by the wider world in Bristol. And the fact that we can put some of these people's work on record is very important to me. I'm delighted that we were able to persuade the Heritage Lottery Fund, thank you Heritage Lottery Fund, for the monies to be able to do this work.
So I have found my identity as well. Not that I didn't have one, but I have found more, and I found that very fulfilling and very enriching. Yeah.
Then the ugliness that we see in the world can't be from God's law. So we have to interpret that in a way that brings justice and equality to everyone on this earth.
And there's things that we can do while we're alive, but then there's what one can leave behind is something that's continual charity. So that we set organizations and things up to support people while we're alive and to continue afterwards.
You must not live for yourself. Life is about contributions and giving as well.
To be honest, I just want to empower our communities, whoever they are, regardless white or black or, we are beyond our color, our religious, our belief, our language, our history. We're human beings.
Nobody can change you, but you can change yourself. And then see people around you will also change.
So to share that with other people and to work with other people is it's kind of instinctive, really. If I receive a gift, I want to share that.
And realities are that we got to be tolerant to each other. That is my philosophy.